Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking, Lance Meister. I'm here to talk to you about a cool deck building game that I've been playing. And if you follow my channel at all, you'll know that it has to be a pretty good deck building game for me to actually get excited about it, because I've been kind of played out on that whole thing. But here you go. This game is called Cuisine a la carte, and this is a game about warring chefs, like fresh out of chef school, culinary school, if you will, attempting to learn how to please picky critics, if you will. There are judges at basically like an Iron Chef type situation where they throw a bunch of crazy ingredients at you, and you got to find a way to combine all those ingredients and create something that's tasty and that's going to score you some points. As players, like you play to, like, you can play from 2 to 4 people. Like, you can just set whatever number of points you want to score to. Usually play to like 10 or 15, and you collect by using tasting spoons. You collect certain ingredients from, like, the market, if you will, and then you find a way to combine those together to put together a winning combination that then you submit to the different chefs who have peculiar tastes that they specifically will want certain ingredients. Like, there's like people that like want like veggies or what have you. There's even one chef that won't take meat. They're a vegetarian, and so, like, you know, that's the person who likes veggies. But you know, so like there's things like that you have to make sure that your dish is pleasing to the judges, and then whoever can do that the quickest and most efficiently, and also the best, obviously, will score the points, and then they'll win the game. If you played a deck building game before, and I'll touch on this when I show you how to play, but it should come pretty quickly. But you know, I found the game to be really enjoyable, and this was like one of the very first deck building games I ever played with my daughter, and she actually really liked it. She liked the whole, well, you'll see the art. She liked the different art, and she liked combining them into crazy food dishes, if you will. So let me show you how to play Cuisine a la carte, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you exactly why I dig this. Alright, I have set up a game of Cuisine a la carte. Now, this is a game that can be played between 2 to 4 people. I'm setting up a 2-player game. In a 2-player game, you'll have 3 judges. If you have more than 3 players, you add an additional judge to have more people that you can score from. This is a deck building game, and so it's going to follow a lot of the same mechanisms, of the basic mechanism of a deck building game. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining that to you. I mean, if you don't understand deck building, well, I guess it's pretty quickly I'll explain that. But you do set up, these judges are random. You have a large deck of them to, you know, randomly pick your judges and then place them down there. You know, just quickly go over, the number up here is the number of points that your dish that you submit to the judges has to at least equal to score points. These down here tell you how many points you'll score if you submitted to this judge the dish that you made. And then here is the bonus. You'll get a +1 victory point for each of this type that you submit, and you get a handy-dandy little cheat sheet here, and you can follow, so you can see here's these like little leaves or what have you there. And then if we look over here, we can find that it is an aromatic ingredient, if you will. So so that's how that's set up. And so you have, I purposely picked one that has 15, one that has 20, and one that has 25 here. And you do have a giant deck of cards that you then place the first 4 items that technically, I guess, are up for bid, if you will. You have an artichoke, a tortilla, a bison, and an Asian pear. And you can see that there are these colors on the bottom, and that denotes the type of cuisine that they are. And if you have a cuisine that matches the color, like here's a tortilla and a bison, they'll work together, and you can unlock the special abilities that are located in the little bar down here. I'm just going to grab the Asian pear to show it to you really quick, just so you can kind of see. You can see it's a Pan-Asian ingredient. That is what the red stands for. You can see then it is the Asian pear. And if it is played and not submitted, just like a card, it would give you +1 spoon. But if it's submitted as part of a Pan-Asian dish, or at least one other piece that has red, you'd score, it'd be worth an extra point towards the total that you need to satisfy that particular judge. So let's just look at these two guys in the middle here, the bison and the tortilla. Now this, I'm not submitting a dish with these because obviously we're going to have to get a few more. But if you can see here, like you have a tortilla, and you can see it's worth 3 normally. But if you combine it with another piece, another ingredient that follows along with the Western up here, and this is obviously ingredient Western, and here the bison. So it's worth 4 by itself, so that'd be 7 and 4. So 3 plus 4, 7. I'm sorry, it's worth 7 with these two together. But because we combine it with this, it's worth an extra 3 to 10. And so then also you can see that we have gained the top card from opponent's deck and add it to the top of your deck. So it's something where you can actually mess with the other player and steal from them. And so you can also see that for every bread that you put into a meal with the bison, you get an extra bonus of one of these little chef hats, if you will, that actually qualifies it for being good for that particular judge. And so, and here we have one. Lo and behold, this is a bread. So technically, these two together right now are 4 plus the 1 bread, 5, and then another 3. To make it an 8, arithmetic, and then the extra 3 would be 11, and so we only need 4 more. If you had both of these cards in your hand, you're submitting a dish, you'd only need 4 more of these little chef hats for it to qualify, and for it to make a good meal for the next for submitting it to a judge and be able to score some points with that. So the game, deck building, if you're unfamiliar with it, what you're doing is you have your deck of cards it begins with, and this has spoons and it has salt in it to begin with. Everybody has 8 spoons and 2 finishing salt. And you're going to take the top 5 cards from your hand when it is your turn, and you're going to turn those over and you're going to look what you have. And we have these 4 tasting spoons, and you'll notice that these have little 1 by the spoon there, and that means that you can buy something that costs 1 spoon. And then you can see, like, here's the tortilla, and you can see up in the top there it says the cost is 1 spoon. That's up there. And the Asian pear is also 1 spoon. Now, normally you can only make 1 purchase a turn unless you have a fork, but we'll get to that in just a second. So you're going to go ahead and we're going to look and see what we can do here. And well, here we have this finishing salt, and you notice the finishing salt doesn't have an ingredient by it or anything, but it does have these 2 chef hats here. Now this is something that if you can add it to a meal, then it's going to give you those 2 extra points towards qualifying the particular meal to the judge that you're giving it to. But you don't want to hold on to this because it's not worth anything. It's like it's a dead card. It just takes up space in your deck. Every player is considered to have 3 warming trays in front of them, and I don't have anything. I don't have a map, but you have 3 spots that you can put 1 ingredient in each turn, and you put these face down so nobody can see what you're building. So first thing you can do is you can go ahead and place that in there like so. And you say, okay, I'm going to put one ingredient in one of my 3 warming trays. Now, once something's in a warming tray, you can't take it out until it is used in a dish that you submit to a judge, or some other rule happens. Sometimes there's cards that people will attack you with. They don't force you to ditch the cards that are in your warming trays. Sometimes you'll play a card yourself that'll allow you to remove or exchange something in your warming trays as well. But the trick is that once it's in there, it can't leave unless you can somehow break the rules in some way to remove it. So what you do then is that you're going to go ahead and look and see what you want to buy. Well, if we're going to shoot for that bison. Now, if you notice the bison up here, it actually says it takes a fork to buy. Sometimes they're like the top of the line ingredients, like this bison and this artichoke, both cost a fork if you're going to get that. So what you could do is you could go ahead and we could play 2 of these. We could buy a fork and we place that in our discard pile. Then we're going to play a spoon and we are going to buy this tortilla. And then we're going to go ahead and play that in there. Now, if you notice here, this is kind of cool. The tortilla, if you just play it, not submitting it to not using it as a dish, to submitting it, you'll see it actually tells you get to draw an extra card. So it's actually a pretty good card to have, because when you play this, you get to draw another card to your hand. This last spoon, normally we could maybe possibly buy like that Asian pear, but we can't because of the fact that we've already bought an ingredient this turn. So we're going to just have to discard that one, and then we're done with that. Now, what happens here is that we're going to have to restock the available items, the available ingredients for the next player. But the first thing that you do is whatever is in the fourth spot. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to go in the fridge because it's going to spoil. And so the fridge is just another spot that's right over here. We just slide it down like so. And the thing about the fridge is that anything in the fridge, that you can buy the top card in the fridge as an ingredient on your turn, and it always costs 1 spoon. It doesn't matter what the cost says up here. If it's in the fridge, it costs you 1 spoon to purchase. And then we take the rest of the ingredients, we slide them down like so, and then we fill up the gaps that are there. Now, if somebody had bought the fourth spot, you wouldn't put anything in the fridge. You would just slide everything down 1. And so, like, next turn, like, if the person that you're playing next buys the bison, you aren't going to take anything because it's only the item from the fourth spot would get put in the fridge. But in this case, that case, we didn't buy the fourth spot, so we have that. So now, what we have is then the next player goes, and maybe they, purchased these, like the noodles, because they thought, well, it's like maybe they're gonna make a Pan-Asian recipe, if you will. So they bought that one, and so they moved that one down like that, and we put a lemon down in there. And so then it comes back to our turn, and we take our 5 cards, and we have the 5 that are left, and once again we have the finishing salt and the 4, the exact same hand we have before. So now we're going to take this other one like so. We're going to go ahead and put it in there. Now, the neat thing is that, remember, this was in the 4th spot. I apologize. This was in the 4th spot. And this actually went into the fridge. And we would have moved all of these down, an extra one. So a lemon and a lobster is in there. Now, lobster, wow, 2 forks. That's an expensive one to get. So now we have a situation where we have these 5. And so we put the other finishing salt in there, and now what we're going to do is we're going to spend 1 tasting spoon to buy this bison and place it on the top, because remember, whatever's in there, like on top, no matter what it says up here, you can buy it for 1 spoon. So we're going to spend that. Maybe we buy another fork, and so we put that in there as well, and then we're done again. So we bought the bison, but now notice how, like, we didn't buy anything over here, but the artichoke is going to move into the fridge. We're going to move all these down again, draw another ingredient, and this time we got corn. Alright, so now it comes next turn. So now I should shuffle these up, but I'm going to cheat a little bit here just so I can show how you submit a recipe. So let's say, well, first of all, I want to show you the other thing that forks can do. Obviously, I got a couple of forks in here. I'm just going to grab one. I could just grab the one that's right there, but here. With a fork, notice how it costs 2 spoons to get, and it's worth 1 fork. And so you can use it to purchase, as long as you have enough forks, you can buy the top-of-the-line ingredients, if you will. A fork has a second ability, actually. You can discard a fork. So, like, let's say it was my turn, and I had 4 tasting spoons and a fork. And I really wanted, that corn, but I also wanted to get that lemon for whatever reason. So the lemon costs a spoon. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get that one. Actually, let's say we wanted this artichoke, because that costs a spoon, and a lemon costs a spoon as well. So what I'm going to do is I discard my spoon, and I buy this artichoke, because it doesn't cost 1 spoon because it's in the fridge. But I really want to buy that lemon. So what I can do is I can discard a fork to give myself an extra buy. And so then I could spend my 1 spoon, and I could buy the lemon, and like so. And then we would slide those down. So the fork has, not only can it buy something, buy a top-of-the-line ingredient, but it can also give you an extra buy to your turn. But now, as I said, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to show you how you submit a dish. Now, you remember I talked about this tortilla and the bison. They'd work together. So we have the, we have the 3 here and the 4 here. So that's a base of 7. But we have an extra bread in here. So that goes up to 8. We We have the extra 11, the extra 3 here gets us to 11 with the bison. But remember, I have 2 finishing salts. And so I can add both of these to 11, to 13, to 15, and I can qualify for Critical Kathy, because Critical Kathy needs a dish of 15. So I'd submit all of these, I put it off to the side, and I would score the 2 points for that particular card. And and she gives you a +1 for every little like veggie that's in there, but unfortunately I don't have those. But I just wanted to show you that's how it would score. Now it probably would behoove me to hold on to this and go for Paleo Pete here, because a Paleo Pete, even though it costs 25, you get +1 victory point for every meat that you have. And I already have the buffalo that's in there, so maybe I could somehow get a hold of this lobster, and you use that. To like add another meat to my dish, and then I could qualify. So like buffalo, lobster, tortillas, if you will. I don't know if that sounds really good, but you're kind of making crazy dishes, and that's one of the kind of like the side rules they say about the game is after you put together your crazy food, come up with a name of it, and name it something crazy. You don't have to do that, but when I played this with my daughter, we've definitely had some fun with that. So I'm just going to show you some of the other cards. So eggplant, some more tortillas. So there's tons of different food. Salami. Cinnamon, just another like type of ingredient. Notice how it doesn't have any color to it. It doesn't have one of the type of it's a seasoning. It doesn't have a special Pan Asian or Western food or whatever. But it's cinnamon, and if you mix it with an aromatic, it gives you an extra 3 little chef hats to qualify for one of those. Mozzarella, so you have some cheese. So there's tons of these cards that you're just going to be using all of them to create different things. Ooh, a French baguette. But so it's the artwork's beautiful. The food actually works really smartly together. And I should mention one last thing also, that if the card, you've had the lobster card here. Notice how it says down here, gain 1 card for the marketplace for free, but it's in the particular, it's part of this Western thing. If you played that, not playing it to score to one of these things, but if you played it, say you played corn, that's instead of spoons, it's like gain 1. You could play corn and this together, gain 1 card from the marketplace for free, corn. Gain 1 card from Marketplace for free. You'd get that because of the fact that you played these 2 cards together, and they would activate the special ability. You don't always only activate the special ability if you're submitting the dish, whereas corn obviously you do because you get the +3 if you submit it with say a lobster corn. But you would when you're just playing them just during the purchasing phase, instead of, because you can't purchase and submit a recipe and during the same turn, you can do one or the other. So if you use these cards, just placing them down in front of you during a purchasing phase, you'd actually be able to use this. And that's kind of one of the cool things about the game. And I'll touch on this more in my conclusion. Sometimes you'll have really good ingredients that have really good powers, and you won't, because once you use them to submit it to food, the food gets eaten, and so those cards get taken out of your deck, and you kind of have to restart. So there's a neat little risk reward, not risk reward, but you're balancing having a good deck engine, if you will, compared to trying to score some points as well. But there you go. That should probably give you a really good idea of how to play Cuisine a la carte. If you've played a deck building game, this is going to be second knowledge to you. I mean, you're going to catch on to it really quick. And as far as if you've never played a deck building game together, it's a little tricky learning the different combinations. But luckily, everything's kind of color-coded and put together, and the symbols are really bright and noticeable. And it isn't very difficult at all. So let me tell you more about this in my conclusion. Thank you very much for sitting through that how to play Cuisine a la carte. As I said, if you understand how to play a deck building game, this should come very quickly for you. And even if you don't, this game is really easy to learn. And I know that because this is the first deck building game I ever taught my daughter how to play. Mostly because my daughter likes to cook. I remember we got her an Easy Bake Oven when she was very young, and she loves baking and stuff like that. And now, as she sees, I cook mostly in the family, and she likes to help me add the ingredients and crack the eggs, and she enjoys the aspects of it. And she was probably the most proud I've ever seen her was when she made her first ever grilled cheese, and she actually made it really well, and it was pretty pretty tasty looking, actually. She didn't let me have any, of course. But, so when I told her about this game, she was actually really excited to give it a try. And it took a little bit to explain to her how she draws the 5 cards and looks at them and figures out what she wants to do. But once we got rolling, she really took to it really well. And the thing is that this is also one of those deck building games that I like. Remember when Ascension came out many years ago, and like instead of having like 75 different types of cards in Dominion with all the expansions or whatever, you just had a giant deck, and then you just flip those cards over in a tableau, and that's what you got to purchase from. I always liked that better, because whenever I played, after like the first couple like after Dominion and Dominion Intrigue, it just seemed like everybody was just researching all these different strategies and all these different cards that you could put together and buy, and I was just like, oh, you know, I just like goofing around with games, especially games that people take way too seriously, in my opinion. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I mean, if you enjoy playing Dominion and enjoy, you know, figuring out the best possible deck arrangement that you possibly can figure out, then yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm sure you derive some enjoyment out of that, but I can't do that. I'm the one who buys 5 or 6 crazy different cards and just sees how they work together, and then I finish, well, dead last usually. But the thing is that watching my daughter kind of just buy what she thought was cool was actually kind of neat, because it's the way I play the game too. And you know, we kind of would work the colors together and figure out, and she would like, you know, I'd let her pick the judges because she thought they were funny, and you know, we'd figure out which ones that she wanted to shoot for, if you will, and then the best part is, like, she really enjoys that whole aspect of naming the dish after it's done. And like, I remember, like, she got a hold of, we were playing once, if I can find, here we go. She got a hold of this card that was an octopus, and the octopus card is actually really good. I mean, it allows you to steal a card from your opponent's hand, which is kind of nice, and which, you know, once again, that feeds into that whole process of, like, do I keep the octopus card in my hand so I can use its power, or do I use it and turn it in for, you know, because it's actually worth a lot of chef hats, if you will. Do I use it and turn it in for points? That's like one of the coolest parts of this game, other than the fact that it has a giant deck of cards like Ascension, and I don't have to worry about people trying to come up with some crazy, I'm going to go for some heavy Western food strategy. Oh, really? Well, if you don't get the cards, you're not going to go for that, are you? You know, so, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, she would come up with, like, and she would have this, octopus, and she was trying to come up with something. And I thought she was holding on to it just to steal cards from me, because it was working really well for her. But no, she was just holding on to it to come up with some crazy recipe that she wanted. And I'm not going to be able to, like, represent it, but I mean, I'm just going to grab, like, literally, this would be my daughter coming up with her recipe. She would just have some random thing where she'd say, oh, here, Dad, I'm going to turn in my recipe. And I'd be like, okay, you know, what do you got for me? And she's like, it is octopus chicken with leeks and pasta and cilantro. You know, she'd have like this, and I'd look at her and I'd be like, what would you call that? And I remember she called, you know, like slimy mucus. That's what she said. So I laughed. But you know, so this is a game that you can't really you can take seriously, but it has a little levity to it, and it has like awesome art, and it has like if you want to take it like dead, you know, like be really serious about like building the right cards and whatever, it has a lot going on for it, and it has a lot of cool decisions. But as a family game, my daughter and I have proven it, to us at least, that it is something that she and I can enjoy the heck out of as well. So I think it's one of those tweener deck builders where, like, you can definitely like enjoy it as a family game, and also enjoy it as a serious gamer game as well. And the cool thing is with a game like this is that the designer, who I believe did all the art, which is pretty awesome, the designer can take this and they could just add 100 more cards with a crazy different like come up with 10 more judges, come up with like 2 or 3 different types of cuisine, and then add like, you know, 75 new ingredients or something like that. And the game would stay functionally the same, but you would open up all these different ideas and cool new combinations. And I know once that happens, I'm going to have to get those because my daughter is going to love coming up with whatever crazy food she's going to make the next time we put this game on the table as well. So there you go. If you have any questions about Cuisine a la carte, I'd like to hear it. And and if you have any comments as well. Other than that, thank you as always for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, you have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right.